Welcome to P3, I'm Randall Mark. This is the show that explores the fascinating people, places, and perspectives that make up our world. On today's show, how to be successful in life and business with author and motivational speaker Peter Legge. This is P3. Entrepreneur Peter Legge started the magazine TV Week and is now CEO of the Western Canada's largest independently owned publishing company, Canada Wide Media Limited, which turns out over 50 titles. Now, through public speaking and his 13 books, Peter encourages others to be the best they can be and live out their dreams. Peter joins me now in studio to talk about his book, If Only I'd Said That, Volume 5. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Thanks, Randall. Good to be here.
I can't believe there's this many sayings in the world that have inspired you. I mean, 5 volumes, it's quite impressive. It's pretty amazing.
Actually, you probably could do 50 volumes of stories and sayings that have been left for generations. So,
but here we are in Volume 5. Before we get into that book, though, I want to talk about kind of who you are. And what I'm fascinated with is you are a family man. You have owned this company that publishes all these different magazines, and you've focused on Western Canada. And I've always wanted to ask you this because I see all these titles that your company publishes. What's unique about the Western Canadian experience that you love to focus on?
We made a fundamental decision many years ago that as we were going to build our company, we would not have any national magazines.
Why?
Every magazine we would have is regional in nature and regional in circulation. For example, if we had a magazine for the Langley area and I needed a page of advertising, I could come to Joy TV and work out a deal. If I had a national magazine with a $30,000 or $40,000 page rate and national advertising dries up, you have to be in Toronto, you have to be in Montreal. We knew that we would get caught.
So the idea of the local and being in touch with the local communities is very important to you.
Yeah. We use the expression, if there's a fridge opening, we're at it.
Wow. That's funny. So now here's what I'm looking at when I look at all your books, because what is it, 13 books you're at now?
13 books, yep.
You're a motivational speaker. You like to inspire. When you sit down with young entrepreneurs, what are the kind of the first 2 things that you love to inspire them with? What do young people need to know in order to be successful?
They first of all need to understand, and most university students that I speak to, or BCIT graduates, want to get into their own business. Mm-hmm. And they need to understand that 1 in 50 businesses succeed in the first year.
Wow.
Half of the next 50 fail in the second year, and half of the next 50 fail in the third year. So of 100 businesses in 3 years, there might be 8, 9, or 10 businesses that succeed. So you need to have a plan that you can implement on a daily, weekly, monthly basis.
Because you're going to fail.
You're going to fail.
What are some of your failings?
Well, we haven't had that many.
What about early on? You must have had some failings.
Well, I tell you, the first job I did is I was working for a newspaper in New Westminster, the Columbian, which at the time was the oldest newspaper in the province. And my wife needed a second car, or a first car for her, a second car for us. And I didn't have enough money to do it, so I bought a hot dog stand, jumbo hot dog stand.
To make money for the car?
At the P&E.
Okay.
And for those 17 days, it rained every day. I took my little daughter out there, and I think she ate all the profits. So it was only 17 days, but we learned a lot about marketing, about cost control, about the variables that make businesses successful. She got her car.
Right.
I didn't make any money, but she still got her car. So that was our first business.
Very interesting. You in a lot of your books, you talk a lot about taking personal responsibility.
Yes.
You look at around the world, and there's so many people that call themselves victims, and it seems like you're sick and tired of that kind of language. Why? Why is the issue of personal responsibility so important to you?
Because people have not been taught that in high school or universities and don't understand the importance of you and I are totally responsible for our lives, for our business lives. We are completely and totally responsible for our conduct, for our honesty, for our integrity, for every single thing we do. And once we take responsibility for that, it's a lot easier to move forward, because so many people want to blame the premier, or they want to blame the mayor, or they want to blame
the
their
economy.
spouse. The economy. They want to blame. And when you blame, you give away your responsibility. And so when you take full responsibility for your life, for your company, for your organization, for your spouse, for your children. It is amazing. You say, I've got to make this work.
You know, you've used this metaphor, both I saw it in an ad, and I think I've seen it in other places you've said, a forest fire. You said a forest fire is destructive, it can be damaging, but it also purges and it brings new growth to a forest. And you say that's what we're in the climate right now, economic climate, that is like a forest fire. There is opportunities to be had, and people need to have that foresight.
Yep. I just ran across a piece in Joel Osteen's new book where he says that we all want to be as strong as oak trees, as rigid and as firm. But the trouble is when the economy goes bad, or when there's storms, or when there's hurricanes, oak trees fall down. You want to be more like a palm tree. A palm tree can bend. A palm tree can be flexible. And when there is a palm tree, when there is a storm or hurricanes or tornadoes, the palm tree's roots get stronger. That's what we want to do.
And yet there's some flexibility in
flexibility.
And so that's kind of one of your models in your company.
Yep. It says there's going to be difficult times.
Yeah.
Take it to the bank. Things are not going to go perfect. They're not always going to go up. They're going to be flexible. You've got to be responsible and responsive to those things that happen over the
I look at all of your titles you have. There's everything. That stuff for kids. You're the environmental, the Granville magazine. It's really neat. Sustainability. It seems like everything under the sun, you guys are open to publishing. Are there things that you say, no, because of my integrity, I won't do that?
Oh, yeah. We like to say that any magazine we do can be on anyone's coffee table with one or two mistakes over the years that slip through. But generally, that's how we like to do it. So if that compromises how we feel we should present the magazines, we won't do it.
Even if there's money to be made?
It's not all about money.
Really? What are the issues for you that drive your business then?
Well, we've got to be honest. We've got to have integrity. We've got to have character, and we need to spend, as individuals, more time on being honest, developing our integrity, and developing our character. And it's amazing. If you're in doubt, don't do it.
If there's some kind of voice in you that goes, maybe I shouldn't get into this, no, back up.
Yep, and we've come close to making mistakes, to buying companies. You know what? We need to take another look at that, and so we don't.
Wow. Let's take a quick break because I want to talk a little bit about your openness to spirituality. You have a faith, you have a deep faith, and those values come right into your company and how you run it. And I'll talk about that. So stick around here. More with Peter Legge right after the break. Welcome back. I'm again joined by best-selling author and entrepreneur Peter Legge. He's here to discuss his book, If Only I'd Said That, Volume 5. Before we get into the book, I mean, there's so much of the wisdom that you're talking about is in these sayings. Now I hear when I'm getting to know you a little bit,
yes.
This is why these sayings are important to you. They talk about values. They talk about spirituality. Tell me a little bit about your faith. This is an important aspect of how you run your company, how you run your family. For how long has faith been important to you?
Since I was a teenager, 16. I was involved with an organization called Young Life. And in high school, I went to Lester Pearson High School in New Westminster. It's now called the New Westminster Secondary School. And that's where the Young Life movement from Dallas, Texas, first came to British Columbia or Canada, was in New Westminster. And they had a property at Malibu, which is on the corner of the Princess.
Still have that? No,
still have that. Yeah, I was up there a couple of years ago speaking, on the corner of the Princess Louisa and Jervis Inlet. And it's just for high schools. It's like it's a camp. Right. But it's a resort for high schools.
High-end fun camp.
So I went there when I was 16, and the speaker was a guy named Bob Mitchell, and he said that God has a plan for you, and you just need to get to know him. And I thought, yeah, I like that.
So obviously the issue of God and these issues of values have permeated your entire life. And you've said, I mean, we've talked a little bit before, and you said the culture of your company is such that people are attracted to the values you have.
Yeah, that's right. And I think clients are too. When you're honest and you're trustworthy and you're faithful to what you do, people are attracted to that kind of integrity and do business with us. That's why I think a lot of our staff stay. We've got staff that have been there over 30 years, a lot of 25-year members, because we treat people like human beings. We treat them with love, care, and attention.
One of the things that people know you for in BC is your involvement with the Variety Club. In 130 or 40 million you've helped raise. Your heart is full of generosity for disadvantaged kids and disabled children. How did you first get attracted to the Variety Club?
I was a stand-up comedian.
Really?
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah. I entertained with the Mills brothers. You might not remember the Mills brothers?
No, I don't.
Harry Mills and those guys at the Cave Theatre restaurant. Do you remember the Cave Theatre restaurant?
Okay, that's
downtown Vancouver on House Street.
And they had entertainment there.
Yeah, it was a typical Las Vegas nightclub. So I would travel with the Mills brothers, and they were obviously black, wonderful people. So the comments were, he has impeccable timing, but he's as chubby as the three Mills brothers, because they were chubby too. Okay. And so one night, Peter Barnett and his brother Jeffrey Barnett came down to the cave and said, look, we're going to send a car for you on Saturday night. We want you to come down to the Queen Elizabeth Playhouse. And we said, yeah. And Harry, we want you guys to sing, and we want you, Peter, to do song. You to tell jokes. And then what happens? Well, then people phone and give money. We said, don't be stupid. Anyway, they picked us up. We went down there. They sang. I told some jokes. And I've been involved ever since. And
that, I mean, it's a wonderful history you've had with them, continually to be involved in the philanthropy. What other aspects for you? I mean, because I think that I've seen in your books too, you encourage your staff, your people to be involved in charities.
Yep.
Why is that such an important part of someone's involvement in a workplace?
Well, firstly, if the CEO isn't involved with some kind of community activity, the staff won't be. But the staff respect the organization and care for the organization if the CEO is visible and is doing things for a long period of time in the community. My dad taught me that. He said, give back to the community more than you take out. Do that, son, and you will be successful. So that's what I've done.
Take me to some of these sayings. There's so many, I don't even know where to begin, but what for you, when you go through these kinds of things, do you draw these words? Do you have these things posted up? Why do these kind of sayings, why do they mean so much to you?
Well, let's say it takes about a year and a half to put a book together.
Yeah.
And let's say about this time next year, next May or June, I'm going to do another book. I would start collecting quotes.
Find them on TV, find them in a magazine, just write them down.
Yep, I listen to preachers, I go to sermons, I read books, magazines, wherever I go. Yep. Charlie Tremendous Jones, a good buddy of mine, passed away last year, said, you will be the same person you are today, except for the places you go, the people you meet, and the books you read. And so I read a lot of books. I read a book a week because that's important. Because in the Jewish faith, if you study Hebrew, it says wisdom is the source of success. The wiser you are, as does Plato and Socrates, the better you are to deal with the issues at hand.
And so that's where you draw these sayings from. And these, I mean, when you can pick them up, you can just grab these little stories or little sayings, everything from Walt Disney to wherever. But these are collected in a way to help. You can pick it up and just be encouraged and challenged on different topics.
You can have it at your bedside table and just read a couple of pages or a page a day, and it'll get you motivated for the next day.
Tell me about the power of tact too. Why are so many people attracted to this book? It's really been well received. Why? What's going on?
Well, we've had a few printings, and we still sell about 3 or 4 a day. I don't know where they come from, where they hear about it. Perhaps somebody buys it and passes it on. But the power of tact is what my father left me. He left me a little book written by Sir James Lubbock. It was no bigger than half of this size. It was a little pamphlet. He had it in his inside pocket, and he called it his Bible for Canada when he emigrated for England. When he died, just before he died, he didn't give it to me. He gave it to my daughter. So she had it for 10 years. She, in turn, said, if you're writing another book, Granddad's been dead 10 years, call it The Power of Tact, dedicate it to him, and paraphrase Sir James. So that's what I did. That's why people buy it by the dozens for all of their staff.
Has this been lost? Have we lost tact in our culture?
Absolutely, no question. Sensitivity to other people, respect and understanding of our clients, of people we come in contact with, of being good listeners, being respectful of your point of view, of where you're from, of your religion or your background or where you were born, and trying to understand what it is you're trying to say in your issue, and being cautious in how you respond. I found the quote, the best quote in here, I think, which I got early on in the mission, is one by Sir Winston Churchill. He was asked, was asked at a dinner party. He was at a dinner party, and the host went around, all the heavies of that time, and they said to Winston Churchill, here it is, who would you be in history if you were not you? And when it got to Winston Churchill, he said, I would like to be my wife's first husband. If I were not here, I'd like to be my wife's first husband. Now that's tact and diplomacy.
Well, yeah, because your wife's
sitting right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Peter, this is I like this book because I think your idea of saying, listen, the idea of respect is works on every front: business, home, children.
Absolutely.
And if people can understand that, the possibility of success, I think, is unlimited. Your books are encouragement to everyone, and you have been a stellar example of a businessman in our community. Thank you so much, Peter, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All the best. Coming up, I learned to live on the edge with a stunt performer, Leif Hayvale. Watch a movie in awe of a great car chase or action scene? Well, stunt performer Leif Hayvale has been falling from buildings and executing outrageous motorcycle tricks in countless films and television programs. Most recently, he's doubled for actor Robert Pattinson in the Twilight saga Eclipse. I caught up with this daredevil at the Vancouver Motorcycle Show. You guys put on quite a show, the Asphalt Junkies. This bike takes an absolute beating, but you are incredible at some of the stuff you do. How did you first get into being a stuntman on a bike?
Bikes kind of led me the way into being a film stunt person. Met a couple of the guys, my good friend Gaston Morrison, he's been in the business for like 20 years as a film stunt performer as well as a professional motorcycle rider, and I met him just out riding at the track and stuff, and he sort of took me under his wing and
So you got to try this stuff.
Showed me the way, and he saw that I had something to offer the film industry.
Like, but here's the thing: is I'm watching some of the stuff you do. I mean, when you're spinning around and you're on the wheel, how many times do you fall before you get this thing right? I mean, you're breaking your arms.
We get beat up pretty good, but
that's part of that's part of the gig.
You got to fall. If you're not falling, you're not trying.
What's the hardest stunt to do?
For motorcycles?
Yeah.
Everybody sort of goes up, branches out, and gets their own little thing. So I might have this thing that I think is really hard, but one of the guys I ride with can do that perfectly and can't do something that I might think is easy.
What's the best thing you do on a bike?
It's tough to say. My favorite trick, which I don't know if it looks like the best thing, but I really like having a tandem partner on the bike, sitting up on the bars doing things. It's kind of, there's a little bit more teamwork there.
Because there's balance involved.
There's more going on than it looks like, because the person on the bike has to, if they start getting too fidgety,
they have to trust you. I mean, if this person doesn't believe that you can do this, this is trouble.
The hardest part is getting a person who'll trust you.
That's very cool. Now you're in films too. You do obviously bike stuff in film.
Yep.
You've been in some of the Twilight films.
Yep.
What kind of stuff do you love to do in film?
You know, that's my absolute true passion in life is taking this stuff and anything that I find very challenging and doing it in film. From jumping off buildings to, getting hit by cars, whatever it might be, it's all...
hit by cars.
All that stuff, whatever...
I mean, here's what I just don't get, that you can learn how to be hit by a car without it really hurting much. That's crazy.
It's a different art.
There's an art.
It takes a little...
So you're jumping off buildings, you're hitting by cars, you're doing crazy wheelies, and this is your life. This is what you get paid for.
It's all right. It's turned out okay. It's a long struggle to kind of get to where I'm at right now, but
that's amazing. For you, did you grow up as a kid riding dirt bike and these kind of things?
I didn't. I was really into BMX, and was really deep into BMX until about grade 12. I still do that a lot, but at that point I sort of saved up enough money to buy a dirt bike and got into motocross and freestyle motocross and eventually met Gaston at the motocross track.
And he said,
he kind of took me under his wing and sort of brought me. He introduced me to street bike riding and all that.
I mean, do you ever look at yourself and say, man, there's some danger involved? Like you don't just go into your profession without there's some risk involved.
But it's calculated risk. It's sort of a different thing than being Daredevil. I go into a job and I see the dangers, see what the variables are. Everything's different. If it's wet, you sort of see exactly what can go wrong and do the best you can to sort of prepare for it and make it safe.
Right. I mean, one of the things that it's amazing that most people don't realize is that, sure, when you watch a film, great action film, these guys that are doing the stuff, it looks like the actor, but it's you guys. You guys are putting on the line, doing the hard work to make these guys look good.
It's kind of we're always kind of in the shadows a bit, and I like it that way. I don't like it.
You like it. You obviously love what you do.
I do. I have a good time.
Leaf, there's a lot of fun when I'm watching you guys, the Asphalt Junkies. You guys are ripping it up. It is really cool stuff.
Great.
Thanks a lot for chatting today.
Thank you.
All the best, and don't die, okay, man?
Well, I'll do my best.
Okay.
I had a good run.
It was very fun. Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Stay tuned. More P3 right after the break. Welcome back to P3. Make sure you check out our website for your favorite archived interviews and a schedule of upcoming shows. And if you have a question or comment for us, we'd love to hear from you. Write us at info@p3tv.ca. Thanks for watching. I'm Ramba Mark.